Hey everyone, it's Mags. Hope you're all doing great today. Long time no see. I know I've been gone for a hot minute, but anyway, I'm back and it's great to see you all. So in today's video, I wanted to do another installment of my Big Bust series here on YouTube. And specifically, I wanted to focus on something I think that's kind of relevant, especially now during this time, during this pandemic. And that is if you're a large busted person, how to look good on Zoom or webinar or any kind of video conferencing situation that you might be doing. So I'm going to be focusing more on like a professional setting, but obviously some of these can also apply to if you're doing like a virtual Zoom date or something, hang out with your friends or a group of new people that you've met. So this is all about how to look good on Zoom, look professional, put your best face forward, especially focusing if you do have a larger bust, because for those of us busty people, you know that it can be sometimes challenging to look professional, put together, not to over sexualize, etc. when you do have a larger bust. So I'm going to give you some of my tips and tricks on how to look good on Zoom, basically from the waist up. So hope that you enjoy this video. If you haven't already, I would love if you'd consider subscribing to my channel. That would be amazing. And if you like this content, give the video a thumbs up. So without further ado, let's get into my video on how to look good on Zoom if you have a large bust from the waist up. So my first tip is actually kind of focusing on what I'm wearing today with respect to my shirt. So as you can see, it's a short sleeve shirt, but it has some sequins. It's kind of sparkly, has a little bit of a different texture, kind of a sort of, not really rib, but it has a bit of a texture to it. So tip number one would be to wear something that has a different texture, is not, necessarily just a flat fabric. I find textured fabrics, either with, maybe a sequin or a different kind of really interesting knit, can add some interest, especially when you're on camera. When you're on camera, and those of us who do YouTube probably know, you can tend to look maybe a little bit flatter, a little bit washed out, a little bit, blending into your background perhaps, unless you utilize or incorporate some sort of texture. So something that maybe has a bit of shine, a little bit of sheen, a little bit of sparkle, but on that same note, you don't want to overdo it. So you don't necessarily want to, go crazy with like latex vinyl, not that you necessarily would, but anything that's super shiny or reflective actually also is not a good idea, because then that can look really not good on camera. So yeah, tip number one, utilize some sort of texture, something like this little sweater I'm wearing here. I got this at Winners. And yeah, I think it's kind of really cute. I think the color is kind of nice and neutral, yet the sort of sparkliness, I think, adds some interest when you're on camera. And I think this, the neckline is a little higher, and I think it looks pretty cute. So something like this type of top, I think, would be a very nice option for a Zoom meeting. So my next tip when you're on a Zoom meeting is to wear a more of a standout color. Again, obviously today it's more neutral for me, but if you want to kind of not, again, blend into everything, if you have maybe a more neutral background, having a standout color can be really nice, kind of can make you so you're not like necessarily like a floating head, and it adds a little bit of interest to the eye as well. So especially if you're larger busted, I think having a nice color up top can focus your the person's eye to your face, your neck area. So I think that's a nice option. So a couple of options I have here. This one is a really pretty, and by the way, I'll show you everything in the try-on clips, but this one is a very simple yet cute flutter sleeve. It's a nice bright orange with a slight V neckline, and it's kind of a, I guess, a wrap blouse, and I think it looks really pretty, and this orange really pops on camera. So this is a really nice option for a more professional setting, I would say. And then something if it's a bit more casual, if you're maybe doing a date or your office is more casual now that you're on to virtual meetings. Something like this, it's kind of a sort of a t-shirt, but it's a little bit more interesting than just a t-shirt. It has this really cool sort of splotches of yellow, this really bright blue that's really in this season, and again, a nice neckline, a slight scoop neck. And yeah, I think this kind of brighter color can look really good on camera. Again, you'll see better in the try-on, but something like this I think would be great. So yeah, try to go for maybe a more standout, bright color that definitely can add interest to the eye and can look very cool on a Zoom meeting. And another thing you might want to consider when doing a Zoom or webinar or any kind of video meeting is your accessories. Now, obviously people are going to just see you from probably the waist up. So you also, kind of want to have a fine line. You don't want to overdo it necessarily with too much going on, but at the same time, accessories can add interest, can add some depth to your look. So I definitely do recommend accessorizing. I think it's cute, but again, try not to overdo it. So today I'm pretty blinged out. This I wouldn't necessarily recommend for maybe a work situation, again, unless your work is a little bit more casual, a little bit more carefree, but a nice pair of earrings. I have a little bit of a layered necklace look here. I have some rings, which again, unless you're gesturing and stuff, I don't necessarily think your hands will really be seen. So it's going to be mostly a focus on your necklace, earrings, and then a couple options. You can try a really cute little headband. A headband will maybe be seen unless of course you're wearing a headset, but if you're wearing just some wireless earbuds or some earbuds that go like that, it should be able to show up. So a headband or a really cute, little cute hair clip, I think would look really pretty as well. And that will also show up on camera. So again, accessorize, but don't overdo it. If you have a really bold statement necklace, for example, maybe keep the earrings at a minimum, maybe just some smaller studs or something, but definitely accessorize. I do think it adds some interest, some depth to your look, and can be a nice feature potentially if it's a date, for example, can be a talking point as well. So I definitely recommend accessorizing, but just not overdoing it. Okay, so my next tip when you're on a Zoom meeting is to layer some pieces. So as we're going slowly into fall, it is still pretty hot here right now, but we're getting into the fall winter season coming up. So layering, especially if you're working from home, will be nice anyway, just to keep you cozy and warm. But layering can also really look good on virtual meetings. It can look still very professional, very put together. You can have maybe a simpler top, something like this underneath, just a simple, very plain, first layer t-shirt, or you can also have a tank, which I'll also show you, a tank top. So something more plain underneath, and then you can wear over that a blazer. This one is a little bit more casual, I would say. This one's from Simon's. I think it's a little bit more casual. It's really cute still. It has that houndstooth print. You'll see a little bit better in the try on, but I think a nice casual blazer can look definitely really cool over a simple t-shirt. And then another one is super in this year. It's these long cardigans. So I just love this blush pink, again from Simon's. Finding Simon's has a lot of amazing products for this coming fall, but this blush pink cardigan is nice and light, which is the main thing. It's not a super thick cardigan, especially if you're going to be indoors working from home. You don't necessarily want something super thick for the day, but this will look good on Zoom because it has, a bit of that texture that I was talking about at the beginning. It's a nice fine ribbed knit, and it's very light, so it will layer well over your tank tops, your t-shirts, etc. So going for a layered look adds some dimension, and additionally, when you have a larger bust, I think the layers, thin layers, can look very put together, very fresh. Will potentially sort of disguise the large bust if that's what you're going for. So I think this layered option is a good choice. And something else you want to focus on or pay attention to when you're doing a virtual meeting, especially if you do have a larger bust, is keeping a modest neckline in check. Unless it's some sort of, first date where you want to have the girls out, I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that, especially in a work or professional setting. If it's a meeting, etc., you want to maintain a more modest neckline. So again, keeping that layering option that I mentioned in my last step, this is a nice, very thin knit ribbed tank top from Old Navy with a modest neckline. So it's going to be a tiny bit lower than the round neckline I have here, but still very, professional, put together, especially when paired again with something like a cardigan. This one's also from Old Navy. I love this one. It's so cozy and warm. Again, has that nice texture to it. This is in a beautiful cream color. And again, it's in that longer length. These long cardigans seem to be really in for the fall, which I'm loving because I think they're just going to be so cozy. But yeah, having a more modest neckline, I think, is something you want to kind of go for, again, especially in a more professional setting. I think it looks more put together. And in my opinion, I would err more on the side of being a bit more conservative rather than being too revealing. So that's my own personal recommendation. That's just what I would do. Of course, wear whatever you want, what makes you feel good, what makes you feel confident, wear whatever you like. But this is just my tip, is to be a little bit more on the conservative professional side when you're doing a Zoom meeting. So those are my tips for how to look good in a Zoom meeting. I hope you enjoyed that. And another thing I wanted to say, the super cool thing about these, working from home, these Zoom virtual meetings, is you can really do it up top, like, have, the full glam makeup if you wanted to, the accessories, the cute top, the blazer, the cardigan, whatever you choose, and you can have a super fun, casual party at the bottom, if you will. So you can't see, because that's the beauty of doing something like this, where you can just see from the waist up, is I have these super comfy joggers from Old Navy on that are like the most comfortable pants on earth. So, definitely don't be afraid to, especially if you're not going to be on camera walking in and out of a room necessarily, if you want to wear like leggings, joggers, biker shorts, something super comfy on the bottom so that you're not constricted yet looking cute from the waist up, I say go for it. That's my own personal tip. So even though you're still working and having meetings, etc., you're definitely still comfortable in your chair and working from home and being all cozy comfortable. So that's just my personal tip. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you got some helpful tips if you're a larger busted person and you're wanting to look good on Zoom or any kind of virtual meeting. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Take care. Bye.